Okay, this is gonna be recorded. We're gonna try to. I'm gonna record it too. It's recording too. Okay. So, y también esto lo voy a hacer para que pongan sus ¿cómo se llama? Sus notes on the side or what we're going for, what we're going through, and you can have an idea of ¿cómo se llama? So you can always go back and study it. Okay. I'm gonna go over some main things. Okay. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go over some main things. Okay. First of all, I hope are y'all both there? Just so I can know.
I'm there, but it's kind of hard to see because the screen's small.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it doesn't really. I just want you to kind of go along with me because really the ¿cómo se llama? I'm gonna be going through this, but I guess really the notes is what y'all need to be looking at. Okay. So every time that the patient's gonna have the leads, it should look like this on the paper. I'm gonna show you what y'all supposed to be looking at on the paper, and I'm gonna explain a few things. So it might not sound familiar right now, but it might sound better later on. Okay. So every time this is normal. This is normal. A P wave, a P wave, a Q usually goes down, and then it's R, S, and then T. That's so everything. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is called a QRS. QRS. No matter if you're gonna see this one, you might not see that one. You might go straight to RST. RST. But this is always gonna be called a QRS. QRS. I don't know why they named this, but this is how they named it. It's always supposed to be P, and then Q is supposed to be Q, a little Q down, and then R up, S down, and then T. Okay. Don't worry about why this is it. Don't worry about it for now. We're not gonna talk about why. This is just what you need to see. So if you see a P wave, that means this is what it normal supposed to be. This is what normal looks like. P wave. This is what everybody's supposed to be having all the time. QRS, everybody should have a thin QRS. Remember, this is put together QRS and then a T wave. Everybody should have a T wave, okay? This is for every QRS. This is what it's supposed to be normal. Everybody's supposed to be having a P, okay? So problems start happening when there's no P wave, or it's too long, or the P wave is down, or stuff like that. That's when you start seeing problems. When the QRS is too wide, if you don't see a P wave and then it's too wide, then there's problems. Every time that it's different than the P, Q, R, S, and then T, if you start seeing changes, then that means it's you're gonna have to understand what each change means, okay? But for now, you're supposed to have a P, a Q, R, S, and then a T wave, right? That's what normal every patient is supposed to have. Every patient that you'll see normally is like this, and you'll start to see differences. Okay. Anyways, the way that we in the EKG, the way that they start measuring is the little blocks. You see the little blocks that are right here? That's how they start to measure. So this one, the P wave, is way too long. It's supposed to be very close to the QRS. If it's too long, then there's probably a problem. So this is how you're going to be measuring the the P waves, how long to the QRS, and when I'm saying measuring is how many boxes is in here, in the QRS in total. How many boxes are from here to here, and stuff like that. You're gonna This is how you're gonna measure. Each little square is zero point 0.4 seconds, and you're gonna need your glasses. If you don't wear glasses, you're probably gonna need them. because you're gonna need glasses because you're gonna be able you're gonna have to be able to see these things. So each one is 0.04, the little ones, and it see how it's every 5 is 0.20 seconds. So if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these little boxes, it is 1 second, 1 second. So they want to see usually what the patient is running, heart rate. You know, the heart rate is it's supposed to be between 60 to 100 beats per minute. That's usually what a healthy heart runs, 60 beats per minute up to 100 beats per minute. So if it's not running that you know, in that amount of time, then there's probably gonna be a problem. It has to run from 60 to 100 beats per minute. Okay, that you're gonna I'm gonna tell you basics of everything. Okay, so let me show you what we're looking at, and then we'll go back and see I'm gonna show you the rhythms. Okay, the rhythms, and then we'll go into the details of the rhythms. That's how we're gonna learn, okay? Because the other way that I was teaching y'all, it's I guess you're finding it a little bit hard. So I want y'all to have an idea, a better idea, I guess. So this one shows you some of these rhythms. If you can tell, there's, and I'm gonna try to, I hope y'all can see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is usually just one. Pauses, sinus arrest, and sinus block means it's like a pause. If you can tell real quickly here, this is marching out. This is marching out. That's what a normal rhythm's supposed to do. You're supposed to march out the same, almost the same distance. Okay, that's something to look for. So what are we looking for again? We're looking for the P wave, making sure each beat has a P wave. We're seeing, do they march out? Do they march out or not? That's another thing you need to look at. Is the QRS too wide, or is it okay to be a little bit thin? This is some of the things that you're going to be looking at. How fast is your heart pumping? How fast is it pumping? Is another thing that's going to tell you, because not only will you have a rhythm, sinus, for example, sinus rhythm. Let's look at sinus rhythm. Sinus rhythm, right? It says its heart rate is 60 to 100. That means within the 6 seconds, because usually we try to stick to 6 seconds only. The 6 seconds will show you how what the patient's running. Maybe Rosa's running 72 beats per minute. Teresa's running 82 beats per minute. That's what this is talking about. So that's normal. Within 60 to 100 beats per minute, that's normal. Okay? So sinus rhythm, let's say sinus rhythm. Sinus rhythm means they're running 60 to 100 beats per minute. They're regular. That means they're regular. Regular means they're running pretty regular. They're not, this might be regular but interrupted by this, and then it continues on to be regular, right? So sinus rhythm, it can be just simple sinus rhythm, or it can be are y'all still there? Okay. Okay. So we're looking at, when we say sinus rhythm, we're looking at everything. We're looking at sinus rhythm means it has a P wave in front of each one. It is running regular. Sinus rhythm means, is it between 60 to 100 beats per minute? Those are a lot of the and these are a lot of the rules for to call it sinus rhythm. P wave has to be upright and lead 2, 1 per QRS. That means the P wave should be up, positive. The QRS should be up. P wave and QRS, they should be up, okay? And they should be they should be within 12.12 seconds to 0.20 seconds. That means 3 little squares to 5 little squares. Because remember, each little square is 0.4. So you have to know a little bit of math, not a lot, because I'm not good at math. So you got to know just a little bit. So make sure this P wave in the front of the QRS, make sure is within 3 to 5 boxes, and then it's normal. But if it's not, if it's more than 5 little boxes, then that means they got something else going on. So you'll say, if it's between 0.12, which is 3 little boxes, to 0.20, which is 5 little boxes, then you have a normal sinus. If it's within that, see, you see this one, let's do it together. So right here you'll see P wave to the beginning of the from the beginning of the P wave to the beginning of the QRS. You see how many? Can y'all count how many? I see 1, 2. I'm not gonna be able to move too much because my
3.
let me see. Where's my finger? 1.
But you said from the beginning of the P till the beginning of the Q.
I think that's how they. Yeah, I think and I'll look back just to make sure. But yeah, how many squares do you see?
4, right?
Oh, 3 or 4. Yeah.
I see 3.
Yeah, 3 or 4 little squares. So that's still good. That's good. That's good. That's not nothing bad going on there. It's usually that means it's a normal QRS. What other thing makes it a normal sinus rhythm? The QRS has to be 0.12 or less. It cannot be more, because in more it's going to be something else wrong with it. So let's see how big this QRS. If it's how many is 0.12? How many squares is that?
3.
3 squares. So it's got to be 3 and less to be able to be normal. If it's not, then it's something else going on. So how many do y'all see right here?
2.
2, right? 2 squares that make up this whole little QRS. It is within 2 little squares. So that's normal. See, that's normal. So the first rules is sinus rhythm has to be, again, within the 60 minute, within the 6 seconds. That's usually what they try to look for mostly. Within the 6 seconds, you see it's within 6 to, okay, another thing I want to say, because it says 60 to 100. The way you're going to count this is you're always going to add a 0. You're always going to add a 0. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's how they count it at the hospital. That's how they count it at the hospital. They say, if you see 5, you just add a 0. And that makes your heart rate 50 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And really, if you count that the way at the hospital, that's how we count it. That really makes it a sinus Brady, because it's not 6, it's 5. But this book wants you, but I'm not going to teach you that right now. I'm not going to teach you that right, because I just want you to learn it the fast way, because I want y'all to understand what we're talking about. And then later on we can go into details. But right now I want you to, this is how we counting at the hospital. You see 5, you're going to say 5, you're going to add a 0. That makes 50 beats per minute. That's how much this person's heart rate is. Now that would make it, in this book, that would make it sinus bradycardia. Okay. I think Rosa left. I'm not sure, but we'll still continue, because I'm recording this, so I'll post it later. Okay. So sinus Brady is anything under 60. But anything under 60, but you still have to see, this is the rules for this. The rules is, hold on, let me see if I can put her back inside. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know if, If I can still put her in.
If the link is still there, she can still join, I'm sure.
Okay. I'll post it. Try the same link to get in. Okay, so then now I can't get my okay, sorry. Okay. So the same thing. Anything that sinus means there's gonna be a P wave. There's gonna be a P wave in the front. That makes it sinus. So anything sinus is still good. It's still a pretty healthy heart. And so sinus Brady means anything under 60 beats per minute. So like I said, actually this would be sinus Brady, but it, for whatever reason they're putting it that way. But this one's beating how many beats per minute is this in 6 seconds? 40 beats per minute. So it's still sinus because why? Because we still get a P wave and we still get a QRS. It's within 0.12 to 0.20 seconds a P wave to the QRS, and the QRS is 0.12 seconds or less. Since there are regular, you don't see anything interrupting or anything like that, then you could just call this a sinus Brady. Sinus Brady. They're running sinus Brady, heart rate at 40. So if you were to be working at the hospital and they call you, yes, what is my patient running? You're gonna within the, and usually, just so you know, a lot of places already have the heart rate, so they'll show you what the heart rate, but you still need to know in case you print out a strip and it didn't get the heart rate. You still want to know what they're running. So you'd say 40. They're running for sinus Brady at 40 beats per minute, heart rate 40. Okay, so that's sinus rhythm. That's sinus Brady. Remember, they still have the rules. The rules are with the QRS the same, the P wave the same, the measurements 0.12 to 0.20, and then the QRS within 0.12, right? Okay, sinus tachycardia. What is a sinus tachycardia? What is that one talking about? Well, that one's the opposite of the sinus Brady. That one is sinus tachycardia. And really, you would call this one sinus Brady. You don't say bradycardia. You're not going to say bradycardia. You're just going to say sinus Brady. And over here, you're going to say sinus tach. So if they're running anywhere more than, it's supposed to be over 100. So 101 to 160 would be sinus tachycardia. Sinus tachycardia, I probably would not count this one in the end because it's not all the way, but you would say, let's count it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, right? 10. Well, for the purpose of learning this, because 10 would still be 60 to 100, but let's just add that little 1 in the end. That would make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So how do you make it to beats per minute if you have 11?
110.
Yeah, you add that 0 in the end. So this one is heart rate, sinus tach is running at 110 beats per minute. Okay? So just make sure that when you're going to write your notes of what are the rules for sinus rhythm? Well, the sinus rhythm is, as long as each rhythm has a P and each one that looks the same, it has to look the same. QRS has to look the same. And it's running regular. As long as you see this for the most part, see the QRS, the way it looks kind of funny. It looks kind of funny, but you could still see that there is a P wave in there. You could still see, you need to be able to see that P wave and then it's not looking funny. It looks the same in every one. If you see that it looks the same in every one, the QRS, it's all nice and the same, then you know it's still sinus. It's very important for you to know if it's sinus or not. Okay. And like I said in the beginning, it's all going to be kind of hard, but then you'll get used to it. You will get, the majority of people, thank God, the majority of the people, like for example in the hospital, the majority of people usually have pretty healthy hearts, so you usually will see a bunch of these, like that. But there are, but with time, you're gonna see the critical ones, the older people that do have a bunch of stuff going on, and you'll see that later. But right now, we're on the easy ones. Sinus arrhythmia. Sinus arrhythmia, you're still gonna get a P wave, but it's gonna be, what they say, the P is married to the QRS. If it's married to the QRS, that's what they say whenever it's a healthy heart. The P wave is supposed to be married to the QRS. That means they're supposed to go together. When the P wave starts doing different stuff than the QRS, then that means there's a problem. There's a problem. There's always gonna be a problem if it doesn't look really cute and simple like the sinus. So you're gonna have to question each one that looks kind of funny or different, But sinus arrhythmia starts looking like this. Sinus arrhythmia, you still have the P wave in the same distance to the QRS in each beat. You still see a P wave the same. They look the same. They're in the same distance, but then this is irregular because it's not marching out anymore. It's starting to kind of go small and wide, small and wide. It's not, there's no pattern. There's no pattern at all. And that's one word that you're going to have to remember, the patterns, because you're going to have to be able to make see patterns. If you see a pattern, then it's still doing something. If you don't see a pattern, that means something, that there's something else going on. So this one right here, because I still see P waves nice and up and the same distance in each one, but it's just the QRS is still the same width, 0.12 and less. It's still good, except it's just not regular anymore. It's not like marching out. There's no pattern anymore. It's not marching out. So the rule for sinus arrhythmia is still a good heart, but it goes up and down. It says with inspiration. It just I'm not sure exactly how normal or not normal, but for the most part they still count it as still good. So irregular R to R varies, greater or equal to 0.16 seconds, and that means R to R means from here to here, here to here. Instead of saying QRS to QRS, you're not gonna say that. Usually, this is a QRS, but usually if you just the other day I was at work, they say, "What's going on? My patient's having a lot of artifact. It's saying the machine is picking it up as 160 beats per minute." But I say, I know that it has a lot of artifact. Artifact means when it's all messy, you have all kind of stuff because all the leads are whatever. But when you go in and you can use the calipers, which is what the instrument that's called to measure, I measured it from the R to R, and it's showing me the heart rate for the patient is at 120. So it was not true what the machine was picking up. That's why a lot of times it's good for you to know, to go ahead and measure it if you see that something might not be right. So because the machine, if they're wearing a pacemaker, it might pick up differently. If it has a lot of artifact, it's gonna say they're dying when they're really not. You just gotta keep an eye, okay, on the leads. So the good thing about the machines is you can and also the EKGs, you have a lot of leads to look at. That means a lot of these different ones. Maybe this one is real nice and cute, and then the other leads are going to be all messy and everything. But are you going to go by what the messiness is? Probably not, because you know that one lead is running real good. And so you could tell them, you can tell the nurses, you can go, if you have a minute, can you please fix the leads, because all the leads are looking all, messed up, except that one nice lead. So all the other ones are probably not right, but this one's right. So that's a good thing about looking at that one. For sinus arrest and sinus block, you might want to know, depending on what the book it tells you, because they might want you to know the difference. But really, how we call it at the hospital, they just have a delay or a pause. A delay usually in the hospital is like 3-second pause of the heart or less, and a pause is 3 seconds or more. Is what we call a delay or a pause. They call it in the book, a sinus arrest, sinus exit block. And the difference between that is, only because I remembered it differently. The sinus arrest, I used to say it like, in case you ever take a test and they're gonna ask you, if they go by the book, they're gonna ask you, was it a sinus arrest, sinus block? Like I said, in the hospital they call it different, but the difference is sinus arrest. In my head, I used to say, well, sinus arrest is when it's not, is you're gonna continue, when it picks back up, it's gonna continue at a different place than where it would have normally have been. So right here is one beat. It should have probably been right here, and then it probably should have been right here, and then somewhere else. But because it stopped and it's not going to a regular spot anymore, that means, in my head, I used to say, well, he got arrested, and so when he came back out, he had to figure out and pick up somewhere new. Like, what are you gonna do now? Stuff like that. But the sinus block, it picks back up. It just like maybe missed one or two, and it picks back up normally where it left off. It just, sinus block, I used to say, well, he just went around the block, but he'll be right back. So that means he's gonna continue on where he was. So that's how the book, for whatever reason, they say sinus arrest. Well, was it a sinus arrest or sinus? We don't do that at the hospital. We just say they had if it's under 3 second delay, under 3 second pause. I mean, it would be a delay. If it's more than 3 seconds, and how do you count the seconds again? You would count this little box, because it's 0.4, really little box, 0.4, 0.8, 0.12, whatever. It ends up being 0.20 seconds, 0.20 seconds, and then 20, 40, 60, 80, 1. This is one beat. So if you have 1 second, you got 2 seconds, and then they go back. Then you would say, oh, they had a delay, 2 point. You would go in there, you would put your calipers, and then you measure it, and you'd say, well, this patient had a 2.6 second delay. But if they had a pause, which is one box, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you had like 2 more of these, and it's a whole long pause. You're like, oh shit. So the patient had a 3.5 second pause. So this is what they have us in the hospital for. They make sure, for the most part, that the patient is running what they need to be running, because if there's an emergency like that, like they had a big old pause, you're like, oh shit, we gotta hurry up and call the nurse and tell them, because the nurse, she probably knows basic stuff, what to do with the patient, but if it's a severe thing, then she's got to tell the doctor what's the plan for this patient, whatever. So that's what sinus means. Sinus, like I said, you can go back. You can go back and replay this video, and then you can write your notes. Sinus rhythm, sinus Brady, sinus tach, sinus arrhythmia, and like I said, sinus arrest and sinus exit block would just be delay or pause. But if you ever want to take a test, And if you do, like I said, I would like for y'all to go to Lone Star because that's the quickest and cheapest. When y'all go to Lone Star, they might tell you you're gonna need the book. First of all, you're gonna need the book. When you get the book, let's see what your book says because they might have updated the book. They do update it a lot. So, but in your notes, if you want to, if you want to do this later, make sure to write the what you call it, the rules for each one. Sinus rhythm, you gotta have 60 to 100 beats per minute. Sinus Brady, 59, because it's less than 60, so 59 beats and less. So you have all these rules right here. But for the most part, all of them, you still gotta have the PRN, which is 3 to 5 little blocks. A PRN, which is again from here to here. You gotta make sure there's only 3 to 5 little blocks in there. And then the QRS, no more than 3 blocks. It has to be 0.12. It has to be 0.12 or less. Actually, I think there's a part in this book where it says if you reach 0.12, then you have to call it something else, which is bundle branch block. So, for example, I'm gonna give you an example of what things I could do here. So, say for instance, so this because there's a lot of little things you gotta learn. You can say this is just the beginning, sinus arrhythmia, and then you could say with, and it could have 4 different things going on in here, but you'll learn that later. I wish it was just as simple as saying, oh, they're running sinus arrhythmia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 50 beats heart rate. Bye, click. But it's not that easy a lot of times. You have to know, is there anything else going on in there? So later on you're gonna see other stuff like this that you're gonna have to point out. So you'd say sinus arrhythmia with, and then you say everything else that you see. Okay, so that's it for sinus rhythm. We have 30 more minutes, so I'm gonna go over other atrial rhythms. Other atrial rhythms means the how do you call it? The heart rate is still, the heart is still okay. Is having some problems, but for the most part, it's still okay. But still, they should be looked into. Okay. Wandering atrial pacemaker, which is WAP. I don't know why they say that because later on Cardi B had that nasty song. But anyways, wandering atrial pacemaker means, what does that mean? Wandering atrial pacemaker means that they have a P wave, but it's 3 different looking P waves. They're still there, but there's 3 different looking P waves. Okay. And the difference between WAP and MAT, the only difference is that WAP is less than 100 heart rate, and the multifocal atrial